Hey, welcome back. This is Coach Parker, and this is another video in my KYA Football's Coaching Clinic series. Today we're going to talk about how to recruit, draft, and choose talent for your football team. And this is specific for KYA, but it may relate to your league also in some ways. And you may learn something if you listen to the video, so don't just bail yet. So let's talk about talent. I know a lot of football coaches, they're like, well, I can coach any team. It doesn't matter about the talent. Well, yeah, you can coach just about any team, and I can do the same. But definitely, don't you want to have the best talent going? I mean, like Dan Marino says, I mean, it really, you want a best talent that you can. So there's no reason to disadvantage yourself by just saying, hey, I don't need to pay attention to the draft or the recruiting process or talent. I can just get kids and turn them into what I want to. And I always think that's funny. A lot of coaches think, well, I can just get a team and get a winning record. Well, you can do that, but my goal is not just to have a winning record, but I'm trying to get to the playoffs and to the Super Bowl and have a good season, because really at the end of the day, and I know a lot of folks say it's not about winning, but I got to tell you, it seems like every season the parents get more and more competitive, and I watch losing teams. I've been on a couple where we just didn't have the talent. We were trying to do some special things with recruiting younger players and bringing them up, and that was a bad and long season because we were losing, and the parent chatter gets bad, and it's bad. So you really want to start out with the best talent team you've got. And that really comes back to this whole organization and preparation. Before the season even gets started, your youth football coaching team management should be cranked into gear looking for that talent. And that goes for KYA football or any league that you're in, is you want to get the best talent. Don't disadvantage yourself and think, oh, I can just coach any team, because I guarantee you there are coaches out there that are going for good talent, and good talent with good organizing and good coaching will beat a talented team that's unorganized. So that's what you're going to face. So look, in KYA and maybe some other leagues that have tryouts, kind of grass drills is what we call our tryouts, and then kind of a draft. This is a process we go through, and I believe highly, especially in the KYA ranks, and I know in Arvada I coached, when you get to the second year and you get some players in Arvada, it's very critical to recruit in other leagues, and in the KYA league specifically, is to choose the right players in the draft to put on your team. It will break or make or break a season. You want the best talent on your team. You can't come into the draft where you're going to choose players unprepared against other coaches that have studied for weeks of who these players are, scouted them, know them from season to season. It is so important to take the draft and this process seriously. I cannot tell you enough. And how to do that, I'm going to give you a couple of tips here. When you're going through tryouts, both at KYA and any other league, if you get an opportunity, you want to interview the players. At KYA football, you can buy the grass drill video. I basically do not watch the tryouts per se at the KYA grass drills. I interview the players with a list of about 10 questions, and they're very specific that I've honed down over the years. That gets me to where I need to be for my players. And one of the big thing is what is their desire to play football? Do they like to hit? Are they afraid to hit? And have they played before? And who did they play for? What was their number? Was it a select team? What positions did they play? Do they think they're good? Who was the top 3 players on their team, do they think? Were they one of them? those sort of questions that kind of narrow down where they're at, who the other players are on the team, what was the winning record of the team that they were on, did they like their coach, did they make practices. So those are some interview questions that you want to go through at your tryout grass drills that are almost more important than actually watching kind of our field day grass drills, because we've got it on videotape and I can watch the videotape. If you don't have the videotape maybe in your league, you definitely want a couple of coaches interviewing players and then people watching the actual tryouts and what's going on and taking notes there. But definitely, I highly recommend that you talk to players. You'll see if they're timid, if they're a leader, if they know stuff about IQ, football IQ. You know, if they can't tell you the position they played or what's offense and defense, that's a really big issue. If you ask them, did you play the whole game, half the game, or 5 plays, or not at all, and they say, I played like 5 plays, you know where they were in the talent pool maybe on that team. So I can't stress enough about interviewing players at your tryouts. Have some coaches do that. You will learn a ton of information. And then you really want to start, you know, once you get the video or your other coaches are looking at the talent, you want to evaluate your talent. We like to pick older players within our age group. Older players are usually more mature. They're usually bigger. You want to look at more experienced players. How long have they played football? Are they starters? Did they play select football? Did they play multiple positions? Have they scored touchdowns? You want to look at their speed. Definitely want to see where they're at. Are they average in their 40 time? Are they low or high in the 40 time? And this also goes for size, weight, and height. Where are they at? But do not get enamored by speed and size, because a lot of kids, for whatever reason, in tryouts, some don't give their best. For whatever reason, maybe a coach is trying to kind of play the system and told the kid not to run a good 40 time or do certain things differently. And so don't get enamored with tryouts so much. You know, a 40 time, if he trips or slips, you need to mark that. Size, I know a lot of coaches will see these big linemen, but they have poor feet when you watch the agility drill. So be careful about that. I like to be honest with you, I'm looking for fullbacky type kids on linemen. I don't want this 150-pound kid that can't get out of a stance. So you need to look at that kind of stuff when looking at linemen. And if you didn't watch the video or you didn't watch these kids and you're just looking at a sheet of paper and you didn't prepare and weren't organized for your draft or your evaluation, you have basically bombed your organization and preparation as a youth football coach. It's going to be a long season. I will guarantee you that, because I geek out and prepare, and I know other coaches that have watched me and that are now doing the same, and I've watched other coaches and taken things from them, and we've added that together. This is the difference when parents say, why is the league so, why are there winning teams and losing teams? It's because some coaches will focus and do what needs to happen and others will not. The other thing on evaluation of the talent is you've got to get coaches referrals when you put these kids on your team. If you get an opportunity, you want to scout, you want to talk to their coaches. If their coaches will give you information on them, who did they play for a couple of years ago? We really want to know this player before, especially if we're going to pick them within our top 11 picks in the draft. I want to make sure I know who that player is. The risk reward is really low when you take a kid that you know little on. So your interview and how you're evaluating the talent, putting those things together, and your coach's referrals, you should be able to get down to a good list there that you're comfortable with. Make sure your top 6, top 9, top 11, and 12, you have got those outlined where they need to be. Sometimes the talent pool isn't there, and that's a little iffy. But, I can't tell you enough the preparation and organization you need to have prior to even getting to the first practice. This draft in KYA and maybe yours in your league is a big deal in how you, and if you're able to recruit some talent, yeah, you need to recruit that best talent based on these kind of things. I prefer my draft strategy at KYA is I want to draft in the top 3 positions, my speed, running backs, and quarterback. And then I'm looking for multi-purpose kind of fullback players. And and when I say multi-purpose and fullback, you may get a big lineman that in youth football, because of his weight restrictions, is a lineman. But in high school, and that's kind of how I look at it, in junior high school or when weight limits are over, that kid could play fullback. Maybe a slow one like a Refrigerator Perry, if you guys are old enough to know that. But he's got good feet, good hands, good eyes, and he can move. That's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for any slow, big log. I want people that can move with good feet. So definitely my top 3 picks are my speed guys. You need a tier 1 running back really to be competitive in every league. And I know a lot of coaches talk about, I can do this, I can do this. We lost our tailback about 4 or 5 seasons ago. I had to move fullbacks in there. We did go undefeated even without him through the season. But once we got to the Super Bowl, we did not have that tier 1 tailback to help us with speed for breakouts. And we got to the Super Bowl, but we didn't win it because we just did not have the tier 1 back. So if your goal is to get to a Super Bowl and win and have that winning team, you definitely need to be thinking about recruiting, drafting, freezing, whatever you need to do to get a tier 1 running back. And when I say tier 1, it's a legit 1 or 2 top running back within your age group. You really want to focus on doing that because whoever has the fastest back usually will win the game. So that's the thing on the draft and what I go for there. My top 6 picks after these 3 picks, I'll try to pick 2 linemen within the top 6 and maybe 1 multi-purpose kind of player there that I know is a linebacker. So I'm trying to get a lot of skill players early, and then I can go, unless there's just 2 huge great linemen in that top 6 or 7 that are definite linemen. That can move and they look awesome. This season we actually froze 2 within our top 6 because they're the top linemen in the league. So you can adjust that from season to season, but really that's what you're doing for your top 6. Usually we have 75 players to 100 players in a draft. I definitely rate my top 50 to 75, but I rate everybody down to the last person, and I have probably a bottom 15 or 20 list that are no draft players that I'm trying to make sure I don't get on the team because they're either too small, they're inexperienced, they're rookies, we have no information on. So not only ranking your top 25 players is very critical that you want to get, but actually ranking the bottom, the bottom 10 to 20 players may be even more important in some leagues when you're going to get a lot of players on your team. So that's kind of the draft strategy there that I go through. Now look, like I've said, and I keep saying it, you've got to be prepared, you've got to be organized coming into your draft and recruiting process. You want to know their names, their faces, you want to know who not to pick, any key points particular about a player. You really want to understand what's going on. Now, like I said, I kind of geek out, and I think this next sheet, the next sheet is my Geek Out sheet. I do this kind of detail on almost every player in our draft and recruiting process. And you can see there's a picture, and I started putting the pictures in there because I couldn't remember the numbers. And when we get down to the final, you know your top 10 really easy. But when you get down to the bottom 50 kids and you're trying to remember when you interviewed them or what you saw, you want to put a face to the number. And that's what we did here. And you can see how much detail is here. The ages, the heights, the 40 times, the ratings that we gave them. any coaches referral, if they played for us in the past or one of the coaches for us in the past. All this detail is here. And this is what you're facing, especially within KYA football. You're facing other coaches that go to this detail and know the players. They have databases on the players and what they look like and who they played for. And so if you come in and you don't try to gather all this information and get this together, you're at a serious disadvantage. So talk to your commissioner at KYA or within your league. Try to get as much information as you can on every player before your league's draft, and definitely before the KYA draft. It is so critical. Like I've said before, the KYA draft can break or make a season. What you do in the draft room and your evaluation process before you get there, how you've rated and recognized talent, evaluated those, put those in your formations, where those kids would play, how you're going to come out, what that's going to look like. If you haven't really put some time into that, then you're going to have a long season. I continue to see coaches that lose consistently within KYA because they do not take this process seriously and have put them in a significant disadvantage. I know a lot of new coaches come in. This is why we're giving this clinic, is so they can understand and ask me and others for help so we can make sure you are prepared for the draft and can be competitive. Because if you're not giving 110%, and your coaching starts before the actual practices, and that's what a lot of coaches don't understand. You start coaching football when you sign up, not when you actually hit the practice field. We had one coach last season that I got to be friendly with and was talking to him, and over a few drinks, he was telling me all he likes to do is football and on the field and play and practice with the kids, and he lost every game. It starts immediately when they decide you're going to get a team and you're going to be a coach, or you're in the process of getting a coach. You need to start coaching and preparing for the season. The season does not start with the first practice. It starts when you put your name in, and that's what you need to do. And at KYA, and I can't stress this enough, you've got to be good at this whole grass drill, recruiting, talent pool recognition. That's got to be your number one thing. I actually enjoy this process almost as much as I do coaching without the season. I hope you enjoyed this video. That was a lot of information very quickly, I guess, in the last 15 minutes. But if you've got any questions, please leave some comments below. If you like the video, please like the video. If you like my clinic, the Coaches Clinic, the series, the KY Coaches Clinic, and my defensive 6-2 multi-8 defense, and you like the YouTube channel, please subscribe. You can also share the video, which is a great help and it supports the channel. You can shop my store, which is powered by Amazon. You can see what's in my coach's bag, what stuff I use, some of the books that are on my library. You can look through there and see if there's anything that really helps support if you don't want to donate any money. There's actually a donate button, I think, out to the right or at the top of this video. And you can definitely head over to coachparker.org for more information about youth football tips and how to coach youth football. I hope you guys are having a great day. Remember to play for fun, and winning is funner. Thanks a lot.